Lunch break of day 48 of the Undercover Policing Inquiry, tranche 2, phase 2, the last day of tranche 2. I'm joined by Chris Bryan of the Undercover Research Group. We've been listening to even more bullshit from HN1, the undercover police officer. He used the cover name Matt Rayner to infiltrate animal rights groups in the early 90s. We've been going over a lot about his appearance in court as a defence witness on a couple of occasions. What have you made of the nonsense he's come out with?
Well, first of all, the campaign for plain English should be alerted to what's happening here, because he can't. It's just what was the phrase? It was
the benign end of the amorphous grey area.
I mean, it's just so. It's just hard to listen to, isn't it?
It's a crime against communication, essentially. I mean, he is appallingly irritating. Not for the first time, Emma Gargeter had to interrupt to ask him to focus on the question and to answer it, essentially, because he kept using any opportunity when she stopped talking in order to just, word cloud. That's the only way I can describe it.
So basically, there's two occasions when he appeared as a defence witness. Basically, his line was, when I was misleading the court, I was not misleading the court. Basically, because it was like the whole operation was misleading. And then there was actually a document, I didn't actually catch the date of that, of a SDS policy document, which said, on no circumstances should you mislead the court. And even when that was in front of him, he couldn't quite find it. Didn't have the ability to say, oh yes, what I was doing was in direct contradiction of that. He just couldn't force. It's almost like it's someone's got like a thing in their brain to stop them saying certain words. He just couldn't.
I mean, that policy document, it was a very short paragraph that said that, that at no point should an undercover officer mislead a court. And he used the example of such as appearing as a defence witness. And it was put to him, well, that's pretty unequivocal, isn't it? And he was like, yes. So do you accept that you were breaking that policy? Oh, no, I think on the balance, from the way that I behaved was perfectly acceptable.
I mean, his line seems to be, I was a useless defence witness. Therefore, it was a fine. So, for instance... obviously, unfortunately, magistrates' courts transcripts are not kept. 2 years after magistrates' court, they get rid of all that kind of detail, so we never actually know what he said in Jeff Shepherd's defence in one occasion. So, but it does seem to me that if you were Jeff Shepherd's solicitor and you would have asked the defence witness more or less what they were going to say, whether it was going to be helpful. Because if it wasn't going to be helpful, they probably wouldn't want you to be a defence witness. That's generally the way things goes, isn't it? You go, oh yeah, what I'm going to say is not going to be any help, but I'll turn up anyway and say some stuff. It's like, yeah.
I mean, he essentially said that he was going to undermine the defence, Jeff Shepherd's defence, by kind of explaining how threatening pictures of the fur trade were. It really just didn't make any bloody sense.
No.
And how dare these people be in a posh part of London, and they need to get out of London, that posh part of London. It was just it just wasn't credible in any way.
It was absurd. Basically, he was saying that that if you like the public order offence was aggravated due to the postcode. So if it was an East 1, it would have been, whatever. But obviously, if it was in, what was it, Central, I don't know what a Central London postcode is now, top of my head, West 1, then obviously no way, that would be acceptable. Therefore, it becomes a public order offence, showing photos of, tortured animals or whatever.
I mean, this is kind of similar to his thing yesterday that he wouldn't drive his van through Whitechapel at night. That would be, because that would be the wrong area to be driving his van at night. It's like being in a protest in the centre is like, oh, that's some sort of bigger event. It was really farcical, ridiculous, and he just kept dropping himself in it and didn't seem to realise he was dropping himself in it because he was admitting to misleading the court over and over again, but saying it didn't matter because it was only a minor offence, and therefore it didn't matter that you would mislead the court.
Yeah, and that was brought up that somehow the gravity of the offence, the lack of gravity of offence, made that him being in court as a witness didn't matter.
Yeah, just bloody ridiculous. Before we got onto his stuff about his appearances in court as a defence witness, we had stuff about this raid and subsequent arrest. where he was questioned following his arrest by a CID officer called Lisa Large.
Sounds like a house DJ, doesn't she?
She does sound like a house DJ, and it was put to him that that she was unaware that he was an undercover officer, and he said, I had a gut feeling that she knew, but he wasted the whole process by doing that. And then supposedly he contacted the other ALF activists who he was embedded with, but whom were fully aware that he'd never done anything illegal ever, not him, not once, no sir, and said that. He told them what the questions were and what his answers were, and they were satisfied. It's like, fuck off, mate. Any activist with, I don't care what area, but like ALF particularly, anything animal rights particularly, if you didn't give a no comment interview, then your fellow activists would view you with a high degree of suspicion and would like no longer trust you, even if they didn't think you were a cop or anything. Yeah. If you were giving detailed information to the police in an interview, it's just like utter nonsense. It doesn't make any sense.
No. Absolutely not. Yeah, Oh, Lisa Large. I looked her up actually. Yeah, she's on LinkedIn. Works for the Church of England now. Yeah, so
I wonder what her thoughts on the event are. I mean, once again, there's all these like minor characters who appear in the evidence, who you kind of wonder if their views have been sought in any way.
Yeah. Mick Moss as well.
Oh,
yeah, he was on there, wasn't he?
What's he up to?
He was. I don't know. I didn't look him up.
Oh.
Probably quite a common name though, the Lisa Large. So, but.
What's the point of you coming along these things if you're not going to look up every minor character?
Lisa Large. Yeah, I mean, he sounds more like a tough centre back, doesn't he? For Man United, 1970s or something. But I mean, it's just. I think I started to feel the fatigue that people who'd witnessed all of Rayner's evidence live started to feel. It's just circumlocution. Sort of just not saying anything, contradiction, but not really recognising that he's making these massive contradictions is just pretty aggravating.
There were a lot of very loud sighs in the room during the evidence over the last hour or two. It is frustrating. I mean, again, as I said earlier, I don't think anybody who witnesses this evidence could be ever left in any doubt that the HN1 is at the very least evading, if not attempting to mislead in his witness statement. He keeps referring to it as a conversation.
That's another. I think someone else picked that up. It's just like, no, this is a public inquiry because about wrongdoing, it's not like a chat show TV with trying to think of an up-to-date chat show, but I can't. So I say Wogan and Parkinson, therefore giving away how old I am. But I mean, it's not a cosy chat around the fireside, is it?
No, I mean, he refers to his questioning after he was arrested by the Wembley CID, Lisa Large, as being a conversation much like this one, which I mean, just suggests a certain level of contempt for the entire process. I would argue.
Yeah, I mean, maybe it'd describe like the Nuremberg trial. Similarly, it's just like a nice forum to share our views or something along those lines. Yeah.
I mean, the man is an arse in so many ways. His entitlement and his just unwillingness to recognise like very straightforward facts as they appear on documents is particularly frustrating. I mean, I found it particularly funny that when he was presented with his what he'd said in court at the LTD's hearing, that he just argued with what he had reported as having said. He'd obviously told Lambert what he'd said, and that was recorded. He said, I don't think I said it like that.
Yeah. So basically, what he said was that he didn't see any offence being committed by the activist. But then he said, no, I didn't say that. Oh, yeah. So, yeah. And he kept talking about the material time. So the whole thing, when someone gets arrested, this is one of the things which he avoided addressing. So when someone normally gets arrested for a public order offence, it's not like the offence is committed and then the arrest is made almost immediately. That's what happens at Section 5, sort of minor offences. It's not like this. Like the police had this long discussion whether this person was committed. They just do it on instinct, and because the Public Order Act's so loosely worded, you can, they're pretty much guaranteed they're not going to get into trouble by making the arrest at the very least. And therefore, him saying, I didn't. He tries to get out of it saying, at the moment of arrest, that person wasn't committing an offence, but that is when the offence would be committed. So by saying he didn't see anything untoward at that point, he is actually giving evidence in that person's defence. There's no doubt about that. So,
But I mean, she was found guilty anyway.
Yeah.
So he said, well, it doesn't matter then, does it? It doesn't matter really to the court because, everything was all right in the end. Team police won, so it's all right.
All's well that ends well. Yeah, basically. Yeah.
I mean, that's literally been it. Anything else you want to add?
I don't think so, no.
Yeah, we've got one afternoon left, and then that's the end of this tranche. That'll be the end of HN1's evidence. I'm sure you'll have plenty of nonsense things to say. So I'll do another video in the breaks later on. Thanks for joining. See you in a bit.